Yeah, I've seen the statistics
And
on it where the amount of volunteers that are joining the Russian army, I think in the last 6 months has been, more than, Ukraine's been able to mobilize. Ukraine's, I think, reporting losing, they can't even they're mobilizing 20,000 a month, which isn't even enough to replace their losses. And the figures still, even Trump's been lied to that, Russia's lost 600,000 men and, Ukraine a fraction of that, when I think the real stats, you might know more, but from what I've heard, it's over 1 million deaths in Ukrainian military now. And Russia, no one really knows, but it's probably 150, 200,000, still considerable. But the idea that they've exacted a massive, weakening of Russia, both military and economically, is absurd, because the Russian
economically, it's a very good policy that Putin has. When he pays his soldiers huge amounts of money, his soldiers are people who live in Russia, their families live in Russia. So whatever you give your soldiers, you pay them huge monthly wages. This money goes to their families, into the bank accounts of their wives, their children, back to the Russian cities and villages and towns. And that money is then spent locally by the soldiers' families, buying real estate, buying produce at the local dry cleaner, local supermarket. So this money is going back into the Russian economy. Russian soldiers are not involved in capital flight. They don't take money out of the country, for example. So it's actually a great thing that Putin is doing by paying his soldiers a lot. And I mean, there's a massive also death benefit payments as well. If the soldiers are injured or they are killed in battle, the Russian government pays a huge amount of money, unprecedented amount of money to their families, right? And these are all volunteers. These are all soldiers who are joining voluntarily, and they're receiving remuneration, right, for the risks and for their service. They also get bonuses. You shoot down a American missile, or American drone, American plane, or you take out a German tank or a British tank or a Bradley infantry fighting vehicle, you get a huge cash bonus from the Russian government. There's motivation there. Where's the motivation on the Ukrainian side? They're running away from mobilization, forcibly arrested. Gangs like Nazi squads. If you've seen the movie Downfall, remember in the dying days of Hitler's Third Reich, these squads going around abducting Berliners for the Hitler Jugend and throwing in old men, Volkssturm, in the last days to try to stem the advance of the Red Army. That's what Ukraine is right now, unfortunately. And this is also wrong, because this should never have happened. This should never have happened. This is an intervention by the West. The West brainwashed Ukraine, pumped them full of weapons, convinced them to fight the Russians, and ultimately the price is being paid by Ukraine. Russia's going to win. Thanks to everyone who supported Russia. Stay calm and wait for the Russians.
Yeah, it's interesting, people that may not know that Russia's advancing on pretty much all fronts. They're very methodical about what they do. They produce, and I think this is the other thing, is China and Russia military industrial complex is owned by the state, and they can produce weapons. I think it's 1/20 the cost of the Western military industrial complex. So the West is greedy. It's outsourced. They profit from war massively, and that's also going to be